Yes, okay, that's good. Well, first, thank you for coming out. This looks like a great turnout. I'm glad to see so many faces from the community coming out to represent just the community in general. I think that's great to have community involvement. My name is Brian Dom. I work at Harlem Bank, and I'm president of Farmer City Kiwanis. I'd like to thank the Blue Ridge Federation of Teachers, Kiwanis Key Club, and the Blue Ridge Boosters for providing the lovely refreshments over there. It's like cookies, water, and I have my glasses on. I still can't see, so I don't know. But anyway, Lynn Hawkins is the moderator for the night. And then we've got our school board candidates. We've got Matt Althouse, Elizabeth Folks, Kirk Holman, Kelly Nichols, Dale Shaman, and Liz Slusser. So the setup for this evening will consist of 7 questions that were provided to the candidates ahead of time, and each of the candidates will have an opportunity to answer each of the questions. In the back, we've got Jill Hardesty. She's got index cards. If there's a question that you would like to ask the candidates, you can make your way back there and write the question down, and she will submit it to Lynn Hawkins. And then afterwards, we would love you to stay and mingle for refreshments, water. No, probably not appropriate to say that, so just kidding. So I'm going to turn over to Lynn Hawkins right now. Thank you.
Okay. Everybody hear me okay? To make this as fair as possible, we're going to go down the line, but we'll start with a different person each question to make it as fair as possible. We're going to have 2 minutes to answer each question. Once you get down to 30 seconds, I'm simply going to do this, and you'll know you have 30 seconds left. Okay? We'll start with Mr. Althouse on the first question. Please tell us about yourself and why you are running for the Blue Ridge Community School District number 18 School Board, along with your qualifications.
Matt Althouse, lived in Mansfield since 1998. Got 2 boys in the district, a freshman and a 7th grader. Been active in a lot of youth activities such as baseball, rec basketball, Little Knights. Qualifications are I work as a sheet metal foreman for a major
Matt,
construction.
Excuse me, can you pick up your microphone and talk into it?
Yep. I work as a construction worker foreman and work on many multi-million-dollar projects and deal daily with coordination and working with people, owners, and other stuff. And I believe that will help me if I am elected. I'm running because I want to see a continued effort for opportunities for both college-bound and non-college-bound students. We seem to focus on the college-bound students and making sure we have a lot of opportunity for them, but I want to make sure that we continue to do trade training and other stuff, as Mr. Seneca does very well. I believe that helps a lot of our kids because many of them will not attend college. And I also think that technology is a big issue. We've upgraded with the Chromebooks, and I believe we need to do as much as we can to stay involved with the technology upgrades because we watch our kids daily use their phones, use everything else besides what we used as a kid. And if we don't continue on that path, I think our school district will fall behind. Thank you.
My name is Elizabeth Folks. I've lived in Farmer City for 11 years now. I was born and raised in California. We chose to make Farmer City our home. We love living here and we love the small town. I just completed my 9th year with Gamage Law Office where I work as an assistant. I also prepare taxes and work on multiple payroll accounts and miscellaneous bookkeeping. Essentially wear several different hats throughout the day. I decided to run for school board because I thought I could bring something new to the table. A fresh perspective, an open mind. I think we can do better for the kids than just the status quo. Thank you.
You're supposed to take longer. My name is Kurt Holman, and I guess I'm here. I'm a graduate of Blue Ridge. I'm a lifelong resident of Farmer City in the school district. I graduated from Parkland College in Business Administration. Graduated from the University of Illinois in Finance. The long story short of this and why I'm running is I want to make a positive impact on the school. I want to make a positive impact on the kids. That's the long and short of it. I feel that I'm very involved in the community. Some of my current service work includes the DeWitt County Development Council. I'm on the executive board there, Regional Planning Commission. It's a county commission which I chair. I'm on the Farmer City Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, the Gibson Area Hospital Advisory Committee Board. I'm a local business owner for many years. 3 children that have been through, one that's graduated from Blue Ridge, 2 that are currently involved in Blue Ridge as students, of course. Other past community service, coaching, community event organizations, but really it all comes down to, I really want to make a positive impact for our school and for the kids that we serve. And I would say that I'm open to all ideas and have felt that nothing's off the table. So that's why I'm here.
Hi, my name is Kelly Nichols. Is this working? I have lived in Farmer City for over 20 years. I have 3 boys.
Can't hear you at all.
Still can't hear me? I'm about to eat this thing, so here we go. And I do have 3 boys. One of them has already graduated from Blue Ridge, and he is currently enrolled in Milliken. And I have 2 others in junior high and 1 in Schneider. I have been very active within the community and with the Blue Ridge School District. I have volunteered for some of our teachers, and I have been in the boosters and the PIE, prom committee, and I don't know how much my son appreciated it, but we got it done. And of course, many of you may know that I also ran the Nightlights Youth Sports for probably 10 years or more. And that was a lot of my time, and I cherished every minute of it with all the kids. And they have grown up, and these kids are probably in high school now playing. I have enjoyed so much of it that I am ready to see another aspect of the community and the school district, and I think running for school board would be the next step. And my qualifications with my finance background at State Farm, I think would also help with the budgeting and the financial part of Blue Ridge and the school board. Thank you.
I'm Dale Schneider, 54 years old, and I've been married this June will be 35 years that I've been married with my wife Laurel. We have 2 children who are sophomores at the school presently, and as far as my qualifications go, many of you know that I worked on the farm here for many years with my father. Felt the calling to go into the ministry. Left the area, went to Bible school, and then graduated. I was involved in different levels of ministry for 17 years, several staff positions, went as a senior pastor of a couple of churches, served as 7 years as a missionary over in northern Belgium. Came back home here in 2004, and our kids have been in the school system since then, and we appreciate the education that they're receiving. That many of you who know me can attest that I'm a person who's very patient, even-keeled personality, and not that easy to get riled up. I consider myself a peacemaker, and I'm a good listener, but I'm a man of action, and when I get involved, I get 100% involved. And the reason why I'm running is because I felt my heart that I wanted to do more for the community and also for children, and I thought what better way to do both than to serve on the school board and have an impact upon the community and our children, because our children is where it's at.
I've only lived in Farmer City for about 5 or 6 years. I lived before that in McLean County for about almost 40 years. And I was invested in a lot of the things that went there. I'll explain later. I have an advanced degree in clinical psych. I've worked with children since I was 14, starting with being a teacher's helper in daycare, and eventually working with as being a director in residential treatment center for adolescent kids. I also helped start one of the first preschools for learning disabled children in Des Moines, Iowa. It was one of the first in the country. Since then, I've also had a number of administrative type jobs, including the transition from the old to the new jails in McLean and Champaign County. I was also director of treatment in what used to be the Washington home. It's now the Scott Center in Bloomington. After then I returned to being a counselor for about 15 years with Lutheran Social Services. And while I was being a therapist with them, I taught classes in marriage, parenting and family relationships, conflict management, communication and problem solving. Since I retired, I have worked with McLean County in developing...
Time is up. Time is up. I'm sorry. Question number 2, we will start with Ms. Folks. What do you see as strengths of the district? What do you see as weaknesses of the district? And how do you think we can improve on those weaknesses?
First, I think our teachers are our number one asset. But going further, I think we have a lot going for us here. Our community, our parents, they're really involved. All over, we're in pretty sound financial shape. We have a really awesome EAV. I'm not sure how many people are aware of that one. But comparing that to other districts in the area, it's pretty nice. Our community is a great asset also. I'm not sure how well we're using that asset. I think there's a lot out there that we're not accessing. Some of the negatives I see is sometimes there's a disconnect between the school and the community, and I think we can improve that connection. We also have a large percentage of low income, which I know is a struggle for us. Overall, I think to improve them really falls in line with taking advantage of some of the resources that are within our community and within our parents and families that are involved. Thank you.
So some of the strengths that I mentioned here, we're a small district, and I really believe that is a strength in many ways. It allows our students to more opportunities to participate. We're more personalized to each individual student, each individual family, even. Our teachers also, I've often heard a positive story of an educator or a coach that went an extra mile to make a difference in a child's life, and we really have to recognize our teachers, can be huge assets to our district, and I believe that they are. Some of our weaknesses, I'm going to throw this out there, we're a small district. That certainly could be a strength, but it can also be a weakness in terms of maybe less overall opportunities. Although each individual student has more of an opportunity to participate in one in particular, maybe there are less overall. And they also, sometimes a student can become stereotyped in a small community. If a child is labeled as something, then maybe that continues through their career, and we need to maybe get outside of that. I also feel that we have an outside image problem outside of the school district. You know, other communities, sometimes media, sometimes looks at Blue Ridge potentially as negative. There seems to be a perception that sometimes concerns aren't addressed or aren't listened to. And I also feel that there is sometimes a disconnect between the school and the communities. How we improve that, I think, you know, we don't typically think of this in terms of a school district, but we should market ourselves better.
Time.
Time. Thank you.
I think Kurt and I are kind of thinking on the same wavelength on this one. I also believe that some of our strengths, of course, number one is our teachers, and being from a smaller school district, our teachers have a better opportunity to visit with each other, and they can mentor with each other, and they can help with our students. And if they are having any troubles, they can communicate with each other to make sure that they are getting the help that they need with any classes that they need. Some of our other strengths may be better opportunities for the kids, such as some more clubs that we may be able to come up with that we can design on our own, because they may not be out there available. But of course, some weaknesses may be some of the opportunities that we don't have, like the clubs that aren't out there, or the sports aren't out there because we are a smaller school. So there are some of the clubs or sports that we don't have, like wrestling, so that is a weakness. Also, we have a less opportunity for an academic or an athletic scholarship because other schools may not be seeing our school as much as like a bigger school. So to improve that, maybe we need to reach out to those schools and say, hey, look at me, our students are great.
Question, in case it's not clear to you what we're answering, it's the strengths of the district. What do you see as the weaknesses, and how do you think we can improve on these weaknesses? I personally feel that the present leadership within our district has done a fine job of running day-to-day operations throughout the district. With the present funding at hand, I think they've done well in keeping up the functionality of the structures of the buildings and the practicality of keeping them running straight. It's always easier sometimes to see the outside changes that have happened in our district than it is to see what's happening inside. And from the new staff personnel, maybe that's been hired to continue upgrade of the students' learning experiences. But unless one takes time to really read all about the district reports, the principal's report that you receive, school board minutes, sometimes it's hard for us to really grasp exactly what's been taking place in the district. And is the work done? Of course not. Unfortunately, it takes funding to see things pursued and to change, and I feel the district's done a good job of keeping it going. The weaknesses I see, first of all, I think there could be better communication. I think sometimes we have relied too much upon as Matt has already said, upon the tools, the phones, the emails, and I think we can get back to one-on-one communication. I I think sometimes it's frustrating when parents don't know that their children are struggling until they get a notice or they get the progress reports to see that they're struggling. Also, unity seems to be an area that we need to work on, and I feel that there can be unity amongst diversity, and I hope we can see that achieved as well.
I've got a feedback from, and I think we talked about it, we can hold the mic up close, and we can turn the sound down a little bit, and I won't have so much to go back.
I see the strengths in Blue Ridge being the fact that they're hanging in there very well compared to some of the school districts in the neighborhood. They're not a blue ribbon school yet, but I think they have the potential to become one. They're also not struggling like some of the other schools. So I think that they're in a very positive position as far as the region is concerned. My concerns about the school district are some of the policies and procedures that I see working or not working with regard to conflict and communication, both. I think that the community at large has a problem with communication and cooperation with one another, and I think that impacts on the school and how it functions. I think that there's lots of possibilities to improve that, and I would like to see better policies and procedures for dealing with problems within the school district.
Strengths of the district. We manage our funds really well, I believe, in a tough economy. We built, a new school, which is fantastic. The high school is still fairly new. We've done a good job in those regards. The pre-K program is a huge asset to our school district. To see our kids go to school. Some of the kids can go for 2 years if they need to at times. That's a huge start for young families. Many good teachers here also go out of their way to help students. My son stays some nights till 4:30, 4:45 with some of these teachers. Wonderful to have that opportunity for him in some classes that he struggles. I actually asked my son tonight, what are some of the strengths that you think of the schools? And he said the Chromebooks are a huge strength of the school, he thinks. A 7th grader at that point, I think they're doing a lot with the Chromebooks. I think they're really liking it. Weaknesses, we're struggling to find assistant coaches that are qualified, I believe. We've been down to the wire on some sports, even a few. We've had some head coaching changes that every year or just 1 or 2 years we've had a new coach, and that's hard for these kids in sports. And some kids here at the high school not feeling safe here at the school. That's a major concern. We've had a few altercations. Hopefully we can figure out a way to, end that. Part of the problem is going back and forth for the lunch program, and I don't know if there's a good solution to that right at the moment, but hopefully we can come up with something that is.
Next question, we will begin with Mr. Holman. Number 3, what do you see as the board's role and responsibilities?
Sure. So I guess if we look at the basic role, that is to govern, including determining board policy. However, I think the board role and responsibility goes beyond that, such as being active in school functions, education of ourselves on school issues, diligence in voting, which again is education and knowledge of what we're voting on and the background. I think it's important that we serve the students, we serve the community regarding the school district. And I think probably as importantly as any of those is to give excellence and expect excellence.
For the board, definitely we help budget and control the finances for the school. We give general oversight, and of course we do control the hiring of the superintendent. And we want to delegate day-to-day runnings to our administrators, and we do make the policies. And we do also have parts in the contracts for the teachers and help give direction for the district. And also, I think for myself, if I were part of the school board, I would want to help give a good name for the district and our school, and I would want to participate in as many functions and be out there and cheer on our community and our kids and be there for support for our community and just be one of the proudest members that anyone could think of. And I'm very proud to be a member of Blue Ridge and Farmer City, even though I didn't grow up here or go to school here, but my kids sure do love it here, and I don't plan to go anywhere.
Most importantly, we are your voice, and we are the voice of your children. And we want to be the best school district in the area. We don't want people to be talking about the other districts in the area. We want them to be talking about Blue Ridge. And this can only happen when we're all on the same page. I believe that I hear a lot that parents expect teachers, administration, coaches to be present at a lot of the other activities going on in the school. I believe that the board also has to look at that and say, I need to be as present as I can be likewise, otherwise you don't know exactly what the needs are of those you're serving. Per our own district policy manual, you can take time to read that yourself, but again, as been said already, we are there to help enforce and adopt regulations and rules and monitor all the policies, give our district superintendent what they need to have as far as leading this district and help them do that work efficiently. I also think that we as a board need to continue to encourage and stimulate the staff and the leadership that are within our school systems themselves and let them know that they are important as well as the children.
I think there's a real advantage to being in Farmer City that we don't necessarily take advantage of the fact that we are between two university towns. Excuse me. I think there's a lot of opportunity to increase learning for the kids in lots of creative ways, and I think the board can support those activities. I think that it's also important to improve and increase communication between the community and the school so that residents can be supportive of the activities going on here. I also think that it's important for the board to expedite, as I mentioned earlier, policies and procedures, regulating problems within the district, and handle them quickly, because the longer they drag on, it just adds more conflict to the fire, which I don't think is helpful. And I think that supporting the teachers to be as creative in their activities and teaching skills as possible is very critical.
Responsibilities, I believe, of the school board are to listen to the community. You guys are the ones that vote us in here. Provide teachers with the encouragement and resources needed. Problem solving, obviously, is huge on the agenda, but to work well together as a board is a big deal. You know, listen to opposing views and work toward a solution to get something done. A stalemate on the board, or two people that just don't get along and don't respect each other is just not good. So we need to, for our kids' sake and for everybody else's sake, we need to make sure we work together to provide the community with the best board we can possibly give.
The school board represents the citizens of the community. You elect us to help guide the education of our students. Through policy, we clarify the district purpose, direction, and goals. We monitor the district's performance within the boundaries of the state. Within the boundaries set by the state. We employ and evaluate the superintendent and leave pretty much the day-to-day to her or he, whoever it may be. I think the most important part of that is really representing the community. We can sit at a table and decide everything for everybody else, but if we're not listening to you and doing what you think is necessary, I'm not sure that we're really doing the job. And I'm not saying that we have to vote on every issue the way that you think we should vote, but I think we need to listen to you and evaluate the situations before we do take that vote. Thank you.
Question number 4, we'll start with Ms. Nichols. What is your vision for education in the community, and what are your 3 main priorities?
My vision for the education and community is to be sure that we are teaching our children to prepare for their future, whether it be that we send them to college or we are preparing them to go straight into a job. But we also need to teach them respect and care. There are many ways that we can do that, and it can be very simple of just teaching them respect in the hallways, or teaching them respect with each other, teaching them respect with the community and nature. Let's go out and plant a tree. Our community has been very strong, such as doing a car wash for a fellow junior high student, or doing a fundraiser for a high school student from another school even. And it's very important that we continue doing that, just so we know that our kids are very respectful and they do care for one another. I think that one of the 3 main priorities for myself is the financial stability within our school to continue on with a proper education. The curriculum for our schools, make sure that we have the proper curriculum as times do change in the future. And also extracurricular activities. There are many that we could choose from, like a great computer lab, science lab, Scholastic Bowl, drama, band, sports. It just goes on and on. And I think that all of that is very important, so make sure that we mold a wonderful, respectful, brilliant child, and that's what we have in our community.
My vision for education is that I hope it's something that learning should be fun. And I can remember as a child myself, there was days that I would dread that I had to go to school. And I don't want that for my children. And I know that we're here to learn, and some people say that's what you're supposed to do, you can have fun later. But I think when we make education fun, I think we also retain it. Every student needs to enjoy coming to school. They shouldn't have to dread it. As Matt had said, I do believe that there are some kids that actually are fearful to come to school because of bullying that's going on, things that take place. I think that we can maybe learn how we can train and educate our kids. The unique thing I see is that if you look at the reports from the school superintendents, that when you come into Snyder School, the report of abuse and verbal issues and children disciplinary actions is almost triple than what it is in the high school level. So we realize that when kids are coming into the school system, they have to learn how to be students. And we understand that, but it's great to see we can get even better on that. I'd like my priorities to be continued education for our faculty. If we expect to have a high standard of faculty, we need to be able to do what we can to help them to reach that. It's not enough just to give them a great classroom, give them the tools, give them instruments to use. We've got to make sure that they know how to use them effectively and that they're getting everything out of that for the students, because we know they have a compassion and a heart for the kids. The worst thing for a student, though, is to sit in a class and their teacher has lost their passion. And so we want to encourage the teachers not to lose their passion. I want to see opportunities for our students to experience more of an everyday life skill, to be able to take what they learn and relate it to life. And I also want to stimulate respect and responsibility quickly, because I feel that we've lost that in our generation here. And I think as a school district, we can't take place as a home where we can help encourage and instill within that child respect. Okay?
When I was in high school, I had to give a speech, and my speech started, you begin your education in the cradle and you receive your diploma in the grave. And I think that that's very true. I still believe that. And I think we all need to strive to make education one of the most important, exciting, and valuable activities that we partake in, whether we're in kindergarten and preschool or in postgraduate school. Because education is exciting and is helpful in how we live our lives. That's one. Two, I think that it's important that we develop an appropriate and helpful citizenship program, because our kids will be leaving here, their school, and becoming citizens outside of here. And I think we get what we deserve in the community and in the country. And if we don't understand our citizenship and the value of our citizenship, then I think we lose a lot. And the third thing is, again, the responsibility that we all have to support and nurture our kids at whatever level to enjoy education.
My vision for the education is that we teach hard work. Some of these students now just think they can come in, get by, and hopefully graduate. But if we can teach hard work and a good work ethic, you know, in the school, and show them that that can carry on to adult life, that's a huge thing. My three things, like I've said before, we need to continue to provide wonderful opportunities for both college-bound and non-college-bound students. We need to do whatever we can do to make sure our teachers stay qualified, as they said, by continued education, and we hire qualified teachers and coaches. And I believe we need to try to ease the transition to this Common Core stuff that we're using. A lot of these students have taken taken a lot of heat this year by parents, I'm sure, for grades on some of this Common Core stuff, and I know a lot of the teachers have spent a lot of extra time working on this. There's got to be some sort of I'm hoping, a better way to introduce this into the school district. There's going to be more to come, and we've got to figure out a way to not have teachers working, 70, 80 hours a week trying to figure out how to help all these students that are needing extra help. So those are some important things.
The most important part is the education of our children. I'm not sure anybody here disagrees with that. And I recognize that every child has a potential, whether it's through academics, college-bound, sometimes it's blue-collar work, and that's fine. I think we need a little bit of everybody here to make the world work. I recognize that they all have a potential, and they should be treated equally, and to provide a safe and welcoming and supportive environment for them all. Holding down taxes is always a hotbed issue, and I think that's something that to keep an eye on, especially with the changing environment in the state. Reining in expenses and prioritizing the resources that we do have all come into play in that. I believe in the transparency and open communication with parents, the community, and the faculty, and I hold firm to the idea that a cooperative relationship between the communities and the school is paramount. Thank you.
Excuse me. My vision is that every student that leaves the school district has the best education possible. And also when they leave, they're proud of the experience at Blue Ridge. I have to kind of share a little story. Every time we go to Gibson City for a basketball game in their commons area, they have a college preparedness chart. And it irritates me to no end that Blue Ridge is always near the bottom of that. So a real priority would be to increase college preparedness for Blue Ridge schools certainly within our conference, but overall. I think it's important that our district become well known for something positive, whether it's education or if that's athletics or if it's agriculture or if it's band. Whatever it is, Blue Ridge needs to be widely known for the place for fill in the blank, whatever it is. I would also like to see us create a more customer-friendly district. And I've often asked the questions, who is our customer within a district? Student certainly is a possibility, parent certainly is a possibility, taxpayer certainly is a possibility, just community in general. But we want to create a more customer-friendly district. And then also I think we could partner with our community partners to create a world-class education. So imagine these possibilities. A Monsanto Ag Education Program, Gibson Area Hospital Medical Careers Training Program. I think if we partner with some of our world-class partners that are already in the community, we can accelerate our educational experience here.
Question number 5. We'll start with Mr. Schneeman. What is your perspective on Vision 2020? What are some positives and negatives as to how it will impact our school district?
Don't know if any of you are even aware of what Vision 2020 is. I wasn't really until we started getting some information via email, district communication, having attended some of the school board meetings myself. It's a working between the Illinois State High School Association with the state legislation to try to get to where funding for education will be equal funding, that education will be across the board equal amongst all districts. Presently, our state funding formula is way too confusing. The way that we are funded is based upon demographics and taxation and value of land. So you can imagine that even though we're a small school district, because of the value of the land, farmland around here, sometimes that affects us in a negative way. But with the Vision 2020, from what I'm gathering, is that the funding will be based upon the needs of each district and not really based upon the demographics, which will benefit us in the end. But we need to be backing, supporting our legislators to make this effort to pass the bills that they're putting forth right now. I read up and realized that Illinois is ranked 50th in the state funding for education, with Illinois funding only 28% of the public education costs compared to 43% across the nation. So Illinois has a long way to go to catch up. And I think this is very important because, as we've heard, that our district, communities grow around a school district. And so many times we hear of people moving to communities around us because of their school districts, and we need to make it that they want to move to Farmer City, Blue Ridge District, okay? Unit 18, thank you.
There's been a lot of conversation about Vision 2020, and so far it's fairly new, and I think it's too young and too early to tell just how effective it's going to be. I think it depends on where it settles in each individual classroom and how it's impacted and how it's used. And I don't think we know yet how that's going to go. I do think that the school district and the teachers that are using the materials and the programs make the big difference. I know a few years ago, there was a program here in town called Homework Haven, and it was an opportunity for kids that needed help with homework. After 2 years, we gave up on it because there were so few children that attended, even though one of the teachers came to the high school to help the students. If that's the attitude of the general population, our education, I don't care what kind of program or vision we have, it's not going to succeed. There has to be positive motivation for education, and that starts at home and in the classroom.
The Vision 2020 program is a great blueprint or outline of the direction we need to go. Are we going to see that anytime soon? I'm not sure. It's broken out into 4 different areas, which is highly effective educators, 21st century learning, shared accountability, and equitable and adequate funding. The 21st century learning part is right up my alley. It's great. It says new technology and learning for our kids. Hey, I'm in. I don't know that's going to happen, but I'm in. Unfortunately, the shared accountability part of it is going to supposedly provide more flexibility for the local districts. I have a hard time seeing if that's going to happen anytime soon, not only because it's hard to get the union influence is going to hurt us a little bit in that, because I just can't believe that we're going to be able to do one thing in one area and one thing in another. With the state we're at right now, I don't see that happening anytime soon. The funding part, we all live in Illinois. We know where we're at. Let's hope it turns around.
I kind of happen to agree with Liz. I think it's really early in this process. I don't disagree that the 4 pillars sound wonderful. I mean, effective teachers, that's something that I think we all want. But it's really early. A few months ago, when the initiative was first unveiled, the school boards across the state were encouraged to sign onto the Vision 20 resolution. We did. We showed our support for something. We're not really sure what it is, as Matt said. It's really just a blueprint for something. Just in the last few weeks, since the new legislative session has started, 7 bills were introduced. These bills, as far as I know, they weren't available when the school board signed on. I think it's just a little bit too early. This is a multi-year process. There will be more bills, and we have no idea what's in those bills. One of the bills right now is 50 pages long. I was trying to read it. It's going to take me a few days to get through it and understand exactly what it means. And if I'm having trouble just getting through one bill, I can't imagine having any guarantee that future bills are actually going to benefit our kids and our students. Last year, I believe SB 16 was introduced, and it languished for a while. It's been reintroduced as, I believe, SB 1. That's not part of the Vision 2020, but just as an explanation. My understanding of that particular bill was it would help some schools and not others. So how are we sure that these bills are going to help us?
So I have a fairly short answer on Vision 2020, and my perspective, I think, is similar to a lot of the perspectives here, but it's very cautious optimism. What I do like about it is the proactive approach. I think, you know, our state and schools and it's political anyway. So we need a group out there fighting, I guess, for our school district, for schools in general. We have to play that politics game, and Vision 2020 seems to be that. However, when you play that politics game, you don't know, as Elizabeth just said, there's positive and negatives for every school district. And obviously, selfishly for ourselves, we want to be on the positive end of virtually all of those. My concern with it is that potentially Vision 2020 gets used simply to pass legislation in the name of education. And we've seen this many times before. Does the lottery come to mind? It was introduced to fund education. Education didn't get any additional tax dollars. There is a current bill that would change the sales tax dollars that was just approved in the area to be used for building infrastructure, which would now include technology. Maybe that's great, maybe that isn't, but the problem with that is that's not what the voters voted on. So it's getting changed after the fact in the name of Vision 2020. So I would suggest it is early. Let's approach it with cautious optimism and hope it works.
There are some pluses for the Vision 2020 for our school district. Some of them, such as the current law right now, is that we can only hire teachers that are licensed within the state of Illinois. With Vision 2020, say a teacher is licensed in the state of Indiana, well, we can hire that teacher. And then that definitely gives us a broader selection of teachers, because we definitely want great teachers, and if we can get a broader pool, that would be great. Another plus for this Vision 2020 is a larger funding for continuing education and mentoring for teachers, which really isn't available right now. And of course, helping control our budget. One thing that's been mentioned before is that we have a higher percentage in reduced and free lunches than other school districts. So with Vision 2020, the controlling of the budget for that could also be helpful. What's the negatives in this? As we said before, this is a recommendation policy, and we have to wait for these to pass. Some of these have passed, and some of them may not be available for our school. It doesn't help our school at all. So we do have to wait and see what will pass and what will be helpful for our school.
Question number 6, we'll start with Ms. Slusser. What is the best way or best ways for Blue Ridge to hire and retain highly effective teachers?
Well, I think first of all, we have a good resume. To have a good resume, to have a good interview with a person face to face, and I think to have the person who has experience along the line with working with kids in different kinds of environments, so that they have the ability to do discipline in a reasonable kind of way, to be motivating and encouraging, those kinds of things. So those are things that you hear in an interview or determine, and also have the references that will explain and deal with those issues.
The first way to retain some of the effective teachers we have is to encourage and recognize their hard work and the way the kids relate with them and everything else. Too many times we try to only show that we only work through the negatives. We only work through, hey, this teacher did such and such to my kid. And we forget about the teachers who are doing good. We don't ever show them as much, I guess, concern of making sure they're recognized and encouraged as we do of complaining about some of the other teachers who we don't like. we also need to make sure our wages, measure up to the surrounding districts. You can't, we need to make sure that, within our budget, we can give bonuses, we can do something to a teacher who is really effective. We can't let them go to a surrounding district for a couple $1,000 raise. We got to make sure that we're right there in the ballpark. We gotta make sure that encouragement and recognition are a big thing. Those things are not shown enough in I believe in this district of the joy it is to have some of these great teachers here. We focus too much on the negative, and we need to focus more on the positive.
I think teachers, just like any other employee, I think ensuring a positive work environment, adequate pay, all that goes there, continuing education for them, that all adds into that. But while preparing for this, I ran across a study done at Stanford University a few years ago. And they found a correlation between schools that had highly effective teachers and highly effective schools. They found that for some reason, in highly effective schools, we're more often to find highly effective teachers. So I'm wondering if we work to become a more productive and highly effective school, if that will help. How we get there, I guess, is something for the next school board and the few after to get us there. But I found the whole thing rather interesting, and it makes sense if you have a place that you feel like you're doing a good job and that you're liked, you're appreciated, and that you're doing your best. It's going to make it feel a lot better, and our teachers are going to want to come here. Thank you.
I think highly effective teachers, the process starts with actively recruiting, and not just in teacher positions, but in support staff and coaches, any hired position. Oftentimes we put a job opening on a website and hope somebody stumbles across it. I think we need to take a proactive approach with universities and colleges and other areas to find and attract people of all positions. I also think it's important that the community and the district plays a strong role in that as well. Available housing, cost of living, businesses that are in town, services that are in the district, and again, our overall image. A teacher will look at Blue Ridge versus another school district and make a decision based on a lot of different criteria. And if we can improve our overall image and work with our community partners to have some magnet education programs, I think that would be a benefit. Something that's interesting, with the question and whether it's highly effective or highly ineffective teachers, our compensation, I don't expect this to change, I'm just putting this out there. Compensation is not tied to performance. It's simply tied to level of education and years on the job. So, and those don't always necessarily correlate. It would be wonderful to have the opportunity to really reward a highly competent teacher or professional. Unfortunately, then the reverse of that is true as well. A highly incompetent situation needs to not be rewarded. But I think it's a problem that we can handle with recruiting.
I don't know all of our staff members here, but of the ones that I do know, and even higher staff, I know that we've got a great broad of knowledge and of entertainment. So I think if we have our staff help put the word out to people who are looking for jobs and do have the education background, I think that would also help in getting our hiring of excellent teachers and staff. As far as keeping them here, I think that, you know, having been a smaller school district, we are limited in our budget and our salary. But from where I work, I work in a very large company, and morale and appreciation is a pretty big deal. And it can be that way in a large school too, because these buildings can get pretty big and staff can get lost. So I don't know what happens in these buildings day in and day out, but you know, even on a teacher institution day, somebody could come in with some pizza or something. This is Trimble. And just live it up for 5 minutes and then go back to work, because that's what your days, the kids are off for, not fun. So that's what it's all about. Appreciation, knowledge. You really do have great staff. Show it to them.
Having not really served on the board, school board before, I do know it seems if you visit meetings and so forth, sometimes you can not know the whole picture. It seems a lot like in the hiring of teachers and coaches and assistants that it's more of a approving of recommendations. And I realize that there's a lot of different regulations, union regulations that come into play as far as how much you can compensate a young new teacher compared to someone who's been here for tenure. I think it's important that we first determine the course structure, what we're actually looking for, and what we want to maintain and develop and pursue that and pursue the qualified individual. I think that we need to be competitive in our compensation based upon our surrounding districts. I think that we've done that. I've seen decisions that have been made in the board to make, even for our teachers' aides and for people who come in and substitute teachers, to bring their pay scale up to those around the area, because we were losing helpers because we weren't paying them enough. I think it's continue education. If we want to retain them, let them know you appreciate them. We have some good qualified people here, and we need to help them one-on-one stay in the district. I also understand that it is a process that can become easy to hire someone and then realize that maybe you shouldn't have hired them. And once they're hired, it's more difficult to find a way to get that changed. And so we want to make sure that our process is thorough and that we all understand and on the same page as far as whoever we bring into the district. Thank you.
Question number 7, we'll start back with Mr. Althouse. How will you engage the community to improve the schools in our district?
Well, listening and making yourself available are two big things. We need to make sure communication is open with all the community. Some people aren't going to have the same views as the school board has, and that's okay. That's what this is all about. I think we also need to show where our school ranks in certain areas. I think much of our community doesn't know where we stand. A lot of it does, but there are many that don't understand where we're at. They have no idea what the needs and reasons for the board's decisions are. And I think that's a huge thing going forward, is we need to show where we're at. We need to, I don't know how we can make it public, but we need to figure out, I'm sure it is somewhat public, but to get it out there more. A lot of people I talk to say they have no idea why we did this and why we did that, and that's a big thing. We gotta make sure everybody knows why we're doing things.
I feel a little repetitive when I say that the community engagement is one of our best assets. But it's a two-way street. And it relies on a relationship built on mutual support. Oftentimes, things are going on at the schools, something's going on downtown, they're not interacting. You almost have two different worlds sometimes. A few years ago, I worked as a chair on the 175th we really struggled to get the community out there. It was something that frustrated me. It is a two-way street, and if we want them to come here, and I'm not just talking about parents, I'm talking about just community members that don't have kids. If we want them to come here and participate and come to the drama show, we need to get out there and participate in what they have going on. But otherwise, I'd really like to see us explore some mentorships, some internships, and maybe some community service requirements. These are great ways to get the kids out in the community, and it's a way to say thanks to the community for supporting them. And that's about it, thanks.
Engaging the community, this seems really silly, but I'm going to say this anyway. To engage the community, we must be engaging. So we must make that effort. And how do we do that? Community partner ideas. We need to ask for suggestions from everyone. Teachers, students, parents, community members. We need to be active ourselves in the community, engage conversation wherever the community is, wherever people are. We need to engage in the community about the school. I also think it's important to try to open up. I know board meetings are open meetings. However, until recently, there always hasn't been a lot of turnout. But why don't we recognize individuals at board meetings, whether it's Athlete of the Month, invite them to come, which brings their parents in, which brings their grandparents in, which brings aunts and uncles. Fine Arts Student of the whatever the task is, a conference award for athletics, but engage the community in that manner as well. Also, there's going to be a significant board turnover. I think it's important, with a new board to meet and discuss goals and objectives. And obviously, that's an open meeting, and ask the community to come and ask for their input in that regard as well. But again, to engage the community, we must be engaging.
Since my oldest son has graduated from high school, I've noticed kind of a shift in things kind of changing. And I almost feel like that things haven't been quite as busy as it used to be. And it may be me or it may be the community, but I think that the community needs to get a little bit more involved. And it needs to be with the rest of the community and with their kids. Now, I do recall, I think it's still happening, if people remember the old man basketball, as they call it, not trying to be mean. Well, I have come up, I think is a really good idea, and I'm going to sound mean, but maybe, sorry Joyce, boosters can come up with something to get the ladies involved, like an old lady volleyball. And let's just get everybody involved. It doesn't have to be just about the men. And let's get the kids involved. Let's get the dodgeball tournament back in play. Maybe it is. Like I said, my son's graduated. So we need to get the community back together and back to participating in all this fun stuff, even if it includes more fundraisers. Maybe we can even come up with some money to rent a dunk tape, and let's put the principals in there. Just kidding.
It was encouraging for me to see this past board meeting, the school board meeting, that the FFA officers were present to share about their achievements and things that have been taking place and things coming up. And it's great to hear about the Scholastic Bowl team doing well. I think so much we talk about the sports all the time. It's always sports achievements, but I think we need to bring it back to light. It's all about education. I feel that we can engage the community by listening, also ask questions, and I don't want people to feel like they can't come up to me, but I also want people to know if they're going to tell me how they feel, then I want to be able to ask them why you feel that way. I think we can all work together to be a solution to the issues going on. I think hopefully I can encourage people to become a part of the solution. Everyone knows the game show Family Feud, and they always say the survey says. And we've had so many surveys that we filled out for the district. Some of you have done it over and over. I hope to be able to see the results of those surveys, find out what is the emphasis, where do we see the needs at, and start acting upon them. We've heard we want the voice of the people, and we need to do and work on it. Have it more student-based surveys as well. I want to hear the voice of the students. I want to know what they want in their district and how we can serve them better. Have the presence and involvement when possible. I know sometimes it's difficult to be everywhere, every place at all times, but when you're there, make yourself available to the people. So I hope that we are representatives, and that's what we will be for you guys, whoever you elect. Thank you.
I'm always interested to read the sports articles in the newspaper, but I'm absolutely delighted and excited to read when some academic achievement has been obtained. And I think that one of the things that we need to let the community know is that there is recognition for outstanding activities, academic activities in school. I love sports. My grandkids and my children and I all played sports. But when you get out of high school, you're probably done with most of the sports activities, but you're still going to be reading and studying and learning, hopefully. And so I think that's real critical. And to have good publicity and a positive environment and support parental involvement with the school so that the word gets spread about what's going on. I think those things are the most critical so that we have a positive environment and positive recognition for the things that are accomplished.
We've come to the end of the prepared questions. I'm going to ask the candidates and anyone in the audience, if you'd like to as well, just to stretch for a second at your seat while I confer with the committee. In the interest of time, I was surprised to note that we've already gone almost an hour and 20 minutes. And so we had a few questions submitted, but the committee has decided to end it with one additional question. It's not really a question. And I'm going to randomly pick people to start here. But in the interest of time, is there anything else you would like to add? I'll give you a second to think about that. Why don't we start with Mr. Holman?
So anything else I'd like to add? I just wanted to share a quick story. I had the pleasure of coaching boys basketball for the last 2 years and here at the school, and head coach prior to that. But I have to tell you that the impact, the potential impact that we as a community, we as a school, we as teachers, we as administration, we as support staff, the potential impact that we can have on these kids is truly amazing. And you know, I look back at those 2 short years and some of the positive comments I got from those kids is life altering for me. I will tell you that. And I really want to make a difference in the lives of our kids in the community, and just make the world a little better place, I guess.
Mr. Schneeman.
I just would like to see the atmosphere of all of our campuses be such that when our students walk down the hallways, that every one of our faculty and staff knows each child by name. And I think it was a testament to a lot of teachers who are able to do that. It makes the children feel like they're special and that they're important. And I think that's the whole district is there, that we need to remember why we're here. It's for the kids and their education, so that when they leave this building, they know what they're going to do in life. And many of you have had kids that graduated, gone on to college, and are not applying anything that they learned in college. Their degree is for naught. And this school is doing wonderful as far as equipping, challenging them from the freshman orientation onward. Think about where you want to go, and we'll help you get there. And I want us to continue that focus.
Ms. Folks?
Well, I want to say thank you first to everyone for coming and giving us an opportunity to tell you a little bit about ourselves and our thoughts on education. And I'm actually going to take it back to the beginning. I'm not a public speaker, and I didn't really explain some things fully, at least not to the best that I can. And I want to explain. I have 2 children in this school district, or I did have 2. One graduated, my son, in 2012 from Blue Ridge. I currently have a junior at the high school. But I want to take it back a little bit. Years ago, my first parent-teacher conference, my son was in kindergarten. About 3 months in, got the worst news in the world for a parent. Special education. 3 months in, I was told, expect him to repeat it. For the next 3 or 4 years, I battled 2 different principals, several teachers, to get some assistance, and I was each time told no. In 2004, we chose to move to Farmers City, and it was, I have to backtrack just a second. At one point, we did take our children out of public schools. We just felt that for a 3rd grader crying, didn't want to go to school, that just wasn't the kind of education we wanted for our children. We had to rethink about what we could give them. When we moved to Farmers City, our son was in 5th grade, and we decided to put him back in. He agreed, he wanted to try it. I remember that first conference with the 5th grade teacher. Again, I left crying, but not because I had bad news, but because I finally felt that I had a teacher that would battle with me. And if it wasn't for that 5th grade teacher, I'm not sure my son would have graduated. I think Blue Ridge is an awesome school. I think we have a lot of great teachers. I think we have a lot of great potential. Sometimes I think we're just not quite getting there, and we're going to have to take the extra step, go the extra mile. Thank you.
Ms. Nichols?
It's because of my kids that I have met so many great parents and have made so many great friends. And it's because of this school that I have participated in so many activities and got into the night lights and ran that program for so long. And I have made such a great family with all these kids that call me mom and come hang out at my house. I had a rotating door constantly when Travis lived at home. And I would never have it any different. And being on the school board would just be able to help me continue taking care of my family and their parents and making sure that they have a great education and they're prepared for their future. And so I really thank all of you for letting me in your family and letting me in your lives, and I hope that I can help continue taking care of your children in this way, because I watched them all grow up and I want to continue watching your other children grow up. And I just appreciate this community so much. It doesn't matter that I didn't go to school here, because it just, all it matters is what I've seen the 20 plus years that I've been here, and everybody and everything has just been awesome. And I hope that everybody else can see that and start participating more in the fundraising and the boosters and the PIE and any activities that we have, because they give so much for the school. Thank you.
Ms. Slusser?
I think that if we collectively can learn to support and work together and cooperate with one another, anything that we want to achieve is possible. And I think there's great potential for that achievement in this community.
Mr. Alham.
As I said before, every school district's going to have its struggles, its problems, everything else. We need to make sure we focus on some of the positives that are going on in the school district. I want to thank you all for coming out tonight, and I think everybody in the community should be excited that we have 6 candidates up here for the school board. It's just wonderful for everybody to have choices, and everybody have a good night.
On behalf of the Kiwanis and the Blue Ridge Federation of Teachers, I'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight, and let's give the candidates a hand. Mrs. Dowling, do you have anything? Help yourself to refreshments.